Hi and welcome back on here. Thank you so much for clicking onto my video again. And if you are new here, do hit the subscribe and notification button because I post regular videos that I'm sure would interest you. I would like to start by thanking my good friend Stella because Stella actually asked me to talk about this topic. Hi Stella, she's in the US. And when she asked me to talk about it, I wrote her back saying, my kids might think I'm talking about them, because my kids are my biggest critics. They really watch all the videos I make about children just to confront me later with one thing or the other. So here it goes. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how we cripple our kids by giving them wheelchairs when they can actually walk. But before I do that, I'm going to start by telling a real life story. I once met a lady I knew, and she told me how she bought iPhones for her two children. Now, these children were young teenagers, and the lady was just an average earner. So buying that iPhone or buying those iPhones was really a sacrifice she made. She herself was using an old phone. So she bought these phones with the hope and the joy that her children have something special, something they will appreciate, and something they can also go out and show among their friends to show that they too have got something. Which parent doesn't want that? We all do, don't we? Anyway, one day she was at work and the two children, teenagers, started fighting. And while they were fighting, the girl accidentally broke the brother's phone. Now, what did the brother do? Out of annoyance, he took the girl's phone and smashed it. Now, this woman had two smashed iPhones. But why did these children do this? They didn't know the value of that money. They've never worked for money. So they didn't appreciate the sacrifice the mother made to buy them that phone. And most of us parents are like that too. We want to give our children the best. We want them to have what we could not probably afford. We want them to stand out. We kind of want to show our success to our children. And then we start indulging these children. We start enabling them to be lazy. And these children just grow up thinking that they will be spoon-fed all their life. They don't appreciate what it means to work hard, to desire something, desire it for a long time. Many of us, once the child just says, I want a phone, bam, we're off to the shop buying that phone. I want this, we're buying it. We don't even again let children save towards something and then add some money. And what happens when you don't do that? You think you're loving your child, you're giving the child the best. But the more you give, the more these children want. Because the desire to have things is not just about that particular material thing. It is a feeling inside you. I want, I want, I want. When you have what you want something more. When you get that, you want something more. And it becomes an unquenchable desire, an irrational desire. When there's a parent or parents at the back that keep feeding and feeding this desire, what you're actually doing is you are feeding a monster, and that monster is growing and growing. And then what do you have at the end? Adult children that feel they are entitled. Adult children that you have enabled to keep wanting and wanting from you, never appreciating and always wanting more. The problem with giving these children all these things It's that maybe you grew up where you wanted something, you never got it, so you worked hard to get it. So you are used to working hard. Now you are giving children things you could not afford. But are you giving children something that they can afford later? Be very careful when you are giving children things. Can they maintain this lifestyle later when they live on their own? If you are giving a child that is not responsible, that is not hardworking, that doesn't have an ambition to become somebody tomorrow, if you are giving that child a car, an iPhone, this and that, how would they be able to buy those things for themselves in the future? When they cannot buy those things, they come to you and they want those things from you. And they cannot buy those things because they never learned what it meant to desire something, to want something, and to work hard, sometimes even for years, to attain that thing. We have crippled these children because sometimes giving everything is giving nothing. In fact, it's even worse than nothing because you are taking away from that child the ability to desire and work towards a goal. Any child that grows up with desire and fulfillment can never learn to work towards a goal. What we should do as parents is teach them desires that are realistic and then how to work towards it. If we don't do that, we get adult children that are still depending on us financially in their 20s and in their 30s. They keep wanting more money, having more dreams. And what you are doing now is you are getting older. Instead of putting back money for your retirement, you are pumping all this money into your children for them to fulfill their desires without working to do so. I'm having this issue now with my son who is 18. He's doing his A-levels, but all he's focused on is drawing. He's really good at it, quite talented, I would admit that. But I had to call him and say, young man, you're not going to be sitting here at home with me drawing all your life. You need to earn a salary. You need to have an income. You need to have money coming in. So you've got to sit up with your education. Because you know what? This boy told me that all he wants to do in his life is just draw. And I said, you know what? So far you are a human being. You need food to eat to survive. Then, if you are not ready to work for that money, if you are not able to earn that money, that means you are a parasite. And you are not going to parasite on me. I'm not the host for any parasite. You are a young man. You have to start thinking now about earning your money. And we're really having this battle here right now. But I'm not letting go. Because I told him, if you don't move yourself and get your act together, you have to leave this house and go somewhere else to parasite, not with me. This may sound harsh, but if I don't give him that ultimatum, he'll get too laid back. I had to be really firm about this because if I don't put my foot down now, he might end up being here at 35, still drawing in his room. We have to set our limit with our children. We have to let them know this is the boundary to hear and no more. Give your children deadlines. Let them know, I can afford to do this for you. I can afford to support you financially. I can afford for you to live here as long as you are doing something that's going to enable you live a responsible life in future. No child of mine is going to be allowed to stay under my roof doing nothing. Sleeping at home, I go out to work, come back. It can't happen here. Be very firm with your children. Be very firm. Children need parents that instill discipline in them. That discipline of knowing you have to get up, go to your work, or you have to get up, go to school every day, whether you like it or not. If you don't instill this quality of discipline, grit in a child, if you're always there just solving problems, you're going to get a child that's entitled and not responsible. All the money you are pumping into that child is just for the dogs. One useless project after the other. Those children are not going to be able to do anything reasonable with that money. When is it okay to keep financing an adult child? When should I really give my adult child money? The first criteria, of course, is that the child has got to be responsible. You're not going to be financing drugs or party going for an adult child. If you can't finance that on your own, then sorry, you don't need those things. So, the first criteria for financing an adult child should always be that the child is responsible. And then, of course, it depends on how much money do you have. Because if your finances are limited, is it fair to give the money for retirement to your child? Is it fair not to keep back your money, build something, and give it to a child? A child that will get married, move on in the future, and not see you as their prime responsibility. Because these children will probably get married, have their own families, and have to take care of their families. And most children aren't even thinking back to, oh, my mom did this or that for me. So the amount of finance you give an adult child should also depend a lot on how much you have. Secondly, do you have other children? What do those children need? Is it fair that a child did not do the right thing at the right time? Then in their late 20s, 30s, they still want money from you. Money you could have invested in bringing up the younger siblings, maybe. It would be unfair to deprive a younger child of an opportunity trying to iron out the wrong the older child did when they were younger. And then, of course, again, what are you financing? How realistic is it? When an adult child comes once and says, I want to go and do my master's or PhD somewhere, it will cost me so amount of money, or I want to set up this business, I need some finances backup. It's okay to give the child the money if really the child is going to carry out that project. Because often, when you give children money to do things, if they didn't sweat for that money, they're not going to be working seriously on that project because they don't really care. It's not their money. But when they paid for it, they work more serious on it. A child, an adult child or a teenager that is paying partly for their driving license, is going to take that driving license very serious because they know what they pay per hour. But when mama and papa are paying for it, many of these children, they don't even mind. So you have to be very sure. Giving that child the money, is the child going to carry out that project? Or is it just daydreaming? Because some people have dreams and others have visions they want to pursue. So by the time your adult child comes or your older teenie, I want to start up this, I need this amount, you give that today. The child doesn't even bother putting effort, the project crashes, another year passes, they have another fantastic idea, you pump money in again, the project is not working, then they have problems paying their rent, then they're back at home again, then they're out again, but now they need money to rent the home, and then they need money to buy. When the list keeps on and on like that, it's time for you to detach and to say, no, I can't again. You are an adult and you have to start financing your own life, and you have to start living according to your means and your income. So it's not a question that you can answer with yes or no. Financing an adult child, yes or no, depends on a lot of circumstances. It depends on a lot of factors. Financial factors, factors lying within you, and factors lying within the child. Why are you financing this project? Are you seeing that project as is your own success? Or are you just trying to take a logical decision to give your child a start in life? Or do you think your child is going to be indebted to you emotionally, or that the child is going to start reimbursing you or being your pension scheme later? Be sure of the reason you are financing the child, and be sure of the success of the project. When you give your child money for a project, and then you see that the project isn't working. Take for instance, your daughter will tell you, oh, I want to start selling wigs. Then you give the girl money to buy wigs. This is just a simple example. The next thing you see that she's wearing half the wigs and she's not even bothering to sell the wigs. What does that tell you? This child is not yet ready for business. Because the money came from you, it was like free cash falling from the sky. Never even bothered to really sweat and toil to make that business move. We all start off with very good intentions, honestly, really wanting to give our children the best, offer them the best. But although our intentions are genuine, the unfortunate thing is that a child that you give everything, a child that doesn't know what it means not to get something, can never grow up, or hardly ever grow up, to strive and struggle and have discipline to achieve something later in life. Let's stop crippling our children with this helicopter love, with this excess. Children should learn denial. Children should learn to desire something also and not get it, and to wish for it. But these days, in this consumed society that we have, it's really crazy. You go to some children's room, their rooms are filled up with so many different toys. The children don't even have any attachment to any of those toys. They hardly even play with those toys, because before they get an attachment to one, bam, the next toy is coming, the next toy, the next toy. And that way they grow up with that mentality, always wanting, always getting. And when you always get what you want, you never really appreciate that thing. The best way to spoil a child is by giving that child everything. I'm not saying don't sponsor your children. I'm not saying don't buy things for your children. But draw a reasonable line. Where have you stopped being a loving and caring parent and turned into a wet blanket that is putting out the light of your child's candle? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. Let me stop this video here. It's true I couldn't give a definite yes or no. How do we support adult children, or do we support them to what extent? Because there is no one answer, but a lot of things we have to bear in mind. And I'd really love to read your own contributions in the comment section. Please write what you think about it, because this is a topic that is really bothering a lot of parents that have older kids, and we can learn from each other. Thank you very much, and as I said earlier on, if you haven't subscribed, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button now. Bye.